Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. So, literally like 2 hours after I put up that last video on the Gunslinger and what to expect, an official press release or something must have got passed around because a bunch of MMO sites started reporting on the Gunslinger class. So it is officially the Gunslinger, and they were talking about the new zone and how the Gunslinger is going to be paid DLC, which we then got a more official announcement about on the actual website, and they put up some pre-order packs. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give my take on it, and we'll talk about what they could potentially do to address some of the concerns that I have, and I'm sure some of you guys have as well. So let's get into it. Alright, so fresh starts, Gunslinger Skillset, and more details. The Akasch Invasion. I'm pretty sure the name was similar to this in, I think it was like Akasch Invasion or something like that on the Korean site when it was translated, but that's the official name. I'm pretty sure there are already like mobs in Archeage that I just forgot the name of because I don't pay attention to any of the lore. Well, but that's fine. But yeah, this is going to be dropping on March 25th alongside the Fresh Start servers. Kind of how we expected it to go down. But the Gunslinger and the Fresh Start server are going to be paid DLC. So, specifically the Gunslinger is the only thing being gated off here by the paywall. The new zone, the progression, all of that will be free, which I think is the best way they can go about making this DLC. Now, I know they did say a long time ago that Unchained wouldn't have any future purchases, and I think a lot of people got upset when the Garden expansion came out. And I think if you're still around now after that, after the Garden, you're probably upset by this as well. But they did say that they'd be doing more DLCs in the future, and they'd all be paid for, so I kind of expected this. And I think, honestly, if you're still upset about them breaking that promise, then now is probably the best time to jump off, because there's probably going to be more of these types of DLCs in the future. So I'd expect that from now on, guys. There is a couple other concerns with this, like the Gunslinger skill set being locked behind that. That's kind of standard for a lot of MMOs, especially buy-to-play MMOs. It's a pretty normal practice. Even subscription like WoW and other games like that, classes are all gated behind expansions and stuff along those lines, so it's not too big of a deal in my mind. Now, it does suck for those of you that wanted to play the Gunslinger class, but now you've got to pay. But I think the weird thing about Archeage is you can mix skill sets together, and so if the Gunslinger skill set were to become meta, and every meta class used it, it might be an issue, but I don't foresee that happening, to be honest. Now, I could be wrong, but I think there's always going to be another class you can play, or skill set that you can use instead of the Gunslinger. I've heard originally when it released in Korea it was pretty lackluster, but I don't know if that'll be the case with this, because it probably is closer to the Korean version that they have now than the one they got on launch. The other thing that is a concern is there is the pet on there, which some people in my Discord pointed out. It's called the Peeper pot, and let me pull up an image of its abilities. So the Peeper pot has 2 different abilities, and it also has a passive called Chick Magnet, which increases XP gain, loot drop rate, and gold drop rate by 10%. And if this goes in as it is, it would be pay to win, from my position at least. But what I will say is, whenever they've put stuff like this in the past, they've removed the abilities and the passives like this, so it remains just kind of cosmetic, and I think that'll probably be the case here. I might be giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to have these abilities, so I wouldn't be too concerned about this. But if they do, I will call them out on it, because it's not something that should go in there. But yeah, that was something that was pointed out to me, so thank you to everyone over in the Discord. Well, I think it was Lauren in the Discord that showed me that image. But yeah, the other concern is the Fresh Start server access is gated behind this expansion, so it doesn't have any mention of new accounts automatically having access to it, which is going to suck for newer players, because they're probably not going to pay for the expansion right away, unless it's bundled in with the original, the actual game on its own. So they're probably going to end up jumping on one of the current servers and end up against people with 18k gear score. And I don't think that's a good way of introducing new players to the game. I think that's the whole point of the fresh start, is it should, well, it gives people the option to start over, and it also creates an environment that's more suitable for newer players. So I don't know. I think it's bad that this is behind the DLC pre-order pack, but a problem that I did have last time, I remember there being an issue where they said this originally and then went back on their word with the fresh start server like last minute. They didn't stick to their guns when they said this is just going to be part of the DLC. So well, no pun intended there actually, but I think they should just stick to the guns on this and actually say this is going in the DLC pack, because you just create more problems by going back on what you said last minute. So hopefully this just stays the way it is. Or, you know, they announce something very quickly to say new accounts will have access to the fresh start as well before a bunch of people actually pick this up. The only other stuff that you get here, though, is stuff like the Eagle Eyes and exclusive icon title. There's also an Infamous title. These are some cool titles, actually. You get a Black Knight costume. There's a Lone Wolf title. Ooh. And a Lawkeeper costume. And then there's also the Nocturne Griffin mount without armor and rocket wings. So yeah, that's in the Archeage pack, which I'm just going to pick up the silver pack because I don't have money to throw around on stuff like that. But I think they're most of my concerns. I don't have too much of a problem with the Gunslinger being behind the paywall, as long as the new type of progression, which if you don't know and haven't watched the previous video, there's going to be a form of progression where you upgrade your equipment slots with some of the items that you get in the new zone. But that is going to be free. That's not going to be behind the paywall, so that's a really good thing and something they've hopefully learned from the Garden, because I still don't like that gear is gated behind the Garden expansion. But yeah, this is pretty standard practice for a lot of buy-to-play MMOs, unless you're really hung up on the promise, which I guess after the Garden expansion I just kind of expected this, with them saying there'd be more DLCs in the future. So yeah, I mean, there's stuff like Guild Wars 2, which I've been playing a bit of recently, has a similar model to this, in that you can actually, is the game free to play now? You can buy to play, and then you can also buy the expansions. And then there's also like the Living World stuff in Guild Wars that you can pick up for gems in game, which is their form of credits. I think that's something that Archeage could do as well. They could have these expansions or DLCs also be purchasable for credits. And I think that would definitely upset less people, because you can then potentially earn enough credits in game to buy these expansions, which, for those of you that don't know, you can earn credits through achievements in game, which is, I think, something maybe they should lean more into. That's just a suggestion that I'm throwing out there. But yeah, you guys let me know if there's any other concerns that you all have, or what you think of the whole situation. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to join the Discord as well, because we do have a lot of these discussions over there, and also on Twitch if you want to check me out there too. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.